for giving me this opportunity. Uh, I mean, there's nothing to worry. I'll be very short. I'll be less than 7 minutes. So, uh, it's a very interesting thing for me to stand here and speak. I'm not a doctor. I've never read psychology. I've not even done my social work course. I'm a student of literature, and I've been working for disability and the issue of violence against women for the last 20 years of my life. And so I hope the topics that, I'll not say topics, the questions I'll be raising will be slightly different from what we have been hearing till now. I work for an organization called Shruti Disability Rights Center, and our focus generally is on disability rights with special perspective with gender. And I'd like to actually raise some questions instead of giving some yes, no, and our success stories kind of thing, because this is a question which bugs me, bugs I think the whole team of Shruti, and it should be actually, I think, shared to this kind of group where we really have varied kind of interest, varied kind of people. And one of the major question that comes to me is what we call home itself. When we are talking about homelessness, and when I am talking about women who have suffered from domestic violence, or children, particularly I work a lot with children who are intellectually disabled. A large number of these children face different kinds of abuse at home, within families, and it might even be rape or sexual abuse. It can be a series of abuses. So whether restoring that person to that family is the answer, or whether institutionalization is the answer, and these are the questions we keep on asking ourselves, because only very recently we run a helpline through which we give information and counseling to people with disabilities and their families. And very recently we received a phone call from a mother who says that my daughter, she's intellectually disabled, she's 13 years old, and I have to go out for work. She works as a maid servant, so her working hours are also very long, and the other family members who are supposed to take care of her are actually taking advantage of my absence and trying to molest her, sexually abuse her. So though when as a perspective of disability rights person, I say that institutionalization is not an answer, but what do I suggest for this mother? This kind of question, it's of Baksar, I think Vandana was also saying the same kind of thing. Do we really have an option? What are the options? I mean, that is something that we need to find out, because when we are at this point of time talking about not changes, it's totally a new law for the disabled people. We are talking about total change in the Mental Health Act. These are not one-off cases. These are everyday cases, and people who work with them, we know that this is something are not answering any of our laws. So what is family? What is home? I don't know a person, when an adult woman who comes to me and says, but I don't believe, talk a little bit about, because our Persons with Disabilities Act, the existing one, does include mental illness. Our present act does include mental illness, and as a consequence, the people who are mentally ill are supposed to get disability cards also, identity cards, and that is a major issue in West Bengal at least. And I think all over India, if you are homeless, you will not get the disability card because you need an address proof, and you are not entitled to any benefits. So if you cannot give that address proof, and these are the issues which we really need to think of. How do we advocate with the state? Because I've been hearing from this morning a lot about the role of police, but what about the other departments of the ministry? How do state responds to these kind of cases? Because I know, I am personally, Ratna will be knowing, and a lot of people in this room might be knowing that we have been trying to have a dialogue between the Social Justice Ministry and we don't have a social welfare department in West Bengal and the health department of the West Bengal to simplify the process for getting cards, disability cards for mentally ill people. I'm sorry, till today, I think it's less than 200 people have been certified. And I mean, that's the official number with the disability department. They are giving us that. It's in a printed book. They are just giving us this number. This is the only number of mentally ill people who we have certified till now. I mean, if this is a scenario that the social welfare ministry takes place, and they keep on saying it's not our fault, it's a health department's fault. And I think we have here someone, an official from Social Justice Department from New Delhi, and this morning while having breakfast we were talking about simplification of disability certificates. Yeah, that procedure has been started definitely, but again in that ruling, people with mental illness has not been included. Yes, and these are the things that we need to think of when we are doing advocacy. And another thing that I just wanted to talk, I just wanted to touch these points because we'll be talking about laws tomorrow and we'll be talking about the Disability Act and the Mental Health Act. But it's very important at this point, after UNCRPD has been passed, to talk about and to think about. I know it's not possible in one seminar. There are so many laws which are discriminatory to the mentally ill people. And these are the issues. I don't know where and how we can begin. I mean, there cannot be you cannot just say that, okay, we are talking about these two acts, because finally general laws should be actually changed and amended, and those are the areas we really need to, as a group, as an advocacy group, we really need to work about, and that beginning is, I think, should be starting somewhere.